All right, the area I'm in, there's a local comic store that has a lot of these comics from the 60s and the 70s, right? The sweet spot. And yeah, I was looking in particular for certain stories, okay? You have Charlton, Dell, you have all the other companies that existed up until the 80s. I was looking for obviously Willie Schultz stuff, but I found an Iron Corporal story I had never seen before, also by the same team, Willi, Franz, and Sam Glanzman. In fact, all the stories in here that I liked were by Sam Glanzman. Now, most of these stories, are pretty crappy. Look at the art. Even the art is not great, but Sam is great. Did work for so many companies, but I was looking through here. This is actually when they started reprinting Charlton in the 80s. This is a Lonely War of Willie Schultz story that I have not seen. There's a couple, the collection I have has a lot of stories. There's two I remember that aren't in that, and this is a new one. Okay, I don't know if this is the last one. I'm not sure, but this is already when Willie is with the partisans in Italy, which is to say the commie scumbags. Oh, they weren't all communists. So whatever. He's dealing with this Italian-American OSS guy working with him, and there's some intrigue going on. And of course, when you got this Spanish dude who's got to be a communist, but he has a red beret. He would be a Carlist. He's a communist. You think of red berets, you think of communists. But essentially, the story is typical, and also they kind of mix the pages up with another story. Somebody made a mistake, but this guy here. You get to see more of this character. Basically, in return for helping him, he's gonna basically get a pardon for Willie, right? Because you remember when the videos I went over, they thought he killed the general's son, which he didn't, and he's on the run. So that's why he's, sometimes he's in the German army or he's doing undercover work, but he's trying not to get caught by the Americans. So essentially, this dude is kind of, in a way, blackmailing him. Regardless, the story is interesting because you get to see this guy, he gets drunk with him and he starts talking about stuff that you don't normally see in a war comic from this era, okay? Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I promised that if you work with me in my band of merry men, the scoundrels, right? He doesn't even like the partisans. I get you a pardon, and I will. Even though I still say you killed that guy. So he thinks that Willie killed the general's son, right? From the first issue, right? All right. Captain William Schultz, guilty not of premeditated murder, but of manslaughter. He's like, what? They're getting drunk on the vino. But then, we are all slaughterers of our fellow men, are we not? Of course we are. Yes, manslaughter. Here in the middle of a global war with tens of thousands being killed every day. They want to hang you, my friend, just because you plugged some stupid idiot colonel during a battle. Now ain't that a laugh? What a crazy world. What a rotten, stinking, miserable, crazy world. Oh well, at least the wine is good. Dude, right off the bat, man, Willi Franz, this is better than almost everything else that you have going on in any comics at the time, bro. Straight up. So what if he was one of our own guys? He probably deserved killing anyway, knowing you. He's like, oh, all right, chill, relax, dude. And then, of course, the daughter of one of the partisans. A toast then to death. For without first death, there can be no life for us. To death, and then life, for what it's worth these days. So now there's a twist, and of course, something happens. It turns out the woman's father is the traitor. But unfortunately, the guy who knew that the guy who's gonna pardon him, tell me the truth, Bill. You really did kill that guy, didn't you? No, John. He's funny, but I still don't believe you. Now you'll inherit command of this mess from me. I'm sorry about your pardon. So now the only guy that could clear this dude is now dead. John Darius died, and with him, your only hope for freedom. So, like I said, I still don't know how this ended. Apparently, that Kickstarter went nowhere. So I guess we're never really gonna get an end to the Willi Schultz day, but that was really amazing. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Okay, now I thought I saw all the Iron Corporal stories, but apparently there were more. I had mentioned the Iron Corporal. It's very interesting. An American who ends up fighting with the Australians, right, in the Pacific. Apparently, his ribs and injury, his ribs got removed, and he ended up with iron ribs. So he can take bullets more than the average guy, but he's hardly a superhuman. Now, I had mentioned the Iron Corporal stories were pretty brutal. And of course, Willi Franz also wrote this, and Glanzman was doing the art. Oh, you got the M3. At this point, the M3 was the M3 was a good tank in the Pacific. Japanese really couldn't do anything other than all you see is just swarming the tank, trying to knock it out. Right. So in the Iron Corporal story, I told you they're pretty downbeat. Right. So apparently this M3 medium tank is disabled. So these guys are kind of like they can't move, and they're getting hit with a 47 millimeter anti-tank gun. Right. So these Australian guys and this American guy who's somehow with them, right? Right. Yeah, and you can already see with the dialogue that this is pretty grim, serious stuff, right? Isn't it? I'm gonna do an Australian accent. Nah, I can't do that today, right? Yeah, my brother died inside one of those tanks, right? So they're gonna try to help these dudes, the infantry, right? Your tanks need infantry, your infantry need tanks, and right off the bat, you just, like I said, in the Iron Corporal stories, the Willi writes the Japanese is pretty tough, right? And so they're trying to help each other, trying to take out this gun, right? And they lose some guys, but they do it, right? They help the tank, and they won. Right? And apparently in the last issue, they were talking to these guys. These guys helped them, so they're kind of building a rapport with these tank guys. I don't know if they're American or British. And then you see something, and I had shown this in the Osprey book on the Kamikazes. Right, the one surviving dude, he has a lunge mine. Remember these weapons? These are suicide weapons. They try to get him, and you see like, what the devil? Oh God! And they light him up, but my man. Hey. Funeral pyre for 6 brave but unknown men and the enemy soldier who had killed them. So they tried to save this tank and they didn't. Right? This dude was no joke, man. He avenged his comrades. Of course, none of these guys should have been fighting each other. But anyway, there was nothing we could do to stop it. Nothing. I didn't even know his name. Right? So another downbeat ending to an Iron Corporal story. Like I said, this is, and then you look at the other stories that are here, and they're just like, I mean, the art. I mean, obviously Sam was a step above this stuff, but it was adequate. Oh, you got submarines. Well, it doesn't matter because it's the Arkham Reporter. You don't want to see the stories. It's, the Nazis, the bad evil Nazis. Don't feel sorry for him. He was an SS trooper somehow who was also a submarine guy. You know what I'm saying? These stories suck. Okay? But the Willi Franz, Sam Glanzman stuff, like this, like what you just saw here, this was, I mean, the Dell's Brigade was a lot of fun too. That was a crazy, more up, like kind of like fun story about Willi Franz. But this is, you didn't see nothing like this in war comics like that. Right. It's amazing how good that is next to the other ones. And this one from Dell. Now I looked through here and I saw, okay, this is Glanzman too. I looked in here. Now it's a little more conventional, but not really. It's pretty even-handed. This is when you have an army unit, and the army, of course, is fighting with the Marines. It's a joint Marine Army thing, and you see pretty much you could tell. Look at Sam's art. This is more of it's not such a heroic one here. You're seeing the difference between the Marines and the Army, right? So they're going there, and of course, men dig in, time to dig in, take cover, and the Marines it's starting already. Our Marines would have been told to hang the cover and push on. Well, that's the thing with the Marines. Okay, the thing with the Marines is that they just move, they just go forward, they keep going. They don't take cover, they don't dig in, they don't do this stuff. They fucking go through it, and as many of them die quickly as they can. But they overwhelm the enemy. They get to their objective, which ironically they don't suffer the attrition. Okay, they get their guys killed out of the way real quick, whereas the Army guys are slower. They fall behind, and they start to lose more guys number wise because of that attrition. And again, once again, in this story, I don't know who wrote it. Obviously, I knew who drew it because I could tell by the art. But the Japanese are pretty savvy in this, and like I said, they're good fighters. They're not suckers, right? They're blowing up the tanks, and you see like the colonel is like, yeah, I got this Marine advisor. I don't want to listen to him, but I sort of have to because these guys have experience with this kind of warfare and fighting the Japanese. So, and yeah, it's just a good story. You know, it's the Japanese. Yeah, I mean they kind of look like the bad guys or whatever. The way they're drawn. You know, they have a cool thing with the CBs at the engineers. These guys, come on, we'll show the Marines and the Army what the Navy can do. Well, these guys used to fight all the time. They would be building stuff and then grab weapons and start fighting. But you see though, the Japanese are tough in this, right? And you see they come out and like, yeah, oh, you guys, see, now Marine, you die, Marine. A wave of human flesh surged forward. The outpost fired the withering volley, cutting down countless Japs, but the wave swept relentlessly on. So even the Marines have to retreat a little, right? Yeah, look at it. Right. And even talk about the artillery, right? The artillery is gonna aim kind of close to your guy. Some troops, right, they're trying to run out into the reef. You know, hold your ground, though. Hold your ground, right? So it was just a good, straightforward welcome back. Yankee Devil, you think we died, but now you die. Yeah, fight the. Anyway, and of course this horrible thing here, right, with the civilians. We've been told that we'll torture and kill them. Now, like, look, at least the Japs indoctrination don't work on these. Yeah, it's funny too. They murdered their own soldiers for surrendering. Well, I think it was you guys. I think it was you guys. I'm just saying. And this stuff. Now you have footage of this where you see these people doing this. Well, it's like that. No use watching those civilians and determined to destroy themselves. Forget them. Just, right, make it sweep. Right. For hours, the mopping up proceeded as determined Japs fought on hopelessly alone. Well, yeah. You got one Yankee, right? So, I like that. So, honestly. Right. A lot of wounded. Too many. Yeah. But the island is ours, and holding it will save a lot of lives. Yeah, keep telling yourself that. Alright. But, like I said, for a conventional story, this was actually pretty good. And it ends with another Sam story where you have a Nisei spy. So, essentially, he's a traitor fighting for America. Ooh. But it is kind of interesting to see, kind of like the Japanese Willi Schultz kind of little story here. Right, but this guy, that dumb, right? And that's right, when he got, it would have been great with this story if they had ended it where the GIs would have shot his ass off. Right? Maybe you speak English, Buster, but that uniform says you're a nip. Listen, don't waste time arguing. Get me to an intelligence officer fast. So, and we're too busy, Mac. Oh, forget your wild story. I'm surprised they didn't kill this dude. Anyway, he makes it to the ship, but it was kind of an interesting, different story. And like I said, with Sam, you're gonna get the best stuff from this era. You know, always the war, always and forever.